surprised the Seahawks are tearing apart their defense.
No, I'm not surprised. I'll tell you this. I always think about everything that I hear around Seattle, and it always comes back to one thing for me: 1 yard. To sit there and watch that game, to watch what happened in that game. If you run that ball 4 times and somebody stops you, you can live with it. You can live with it. To see Russell Wilson's face, to see that sideline's face, to feel everybody around the country saying, who calls that play? The moment Marshawn Lynch was removed and all of the things started to fumble, we went through something very similar. Coming after a Super Bowl, champs, you can't get no height. And we go into that offseason and we make a 1 yard mistake, we let go of Trent Dilfer. I don't care what y'all think he can't do. I know what he can do for us.
Really?
Marshawn Lynch was that guy for the Seattle Seahawks.
Which way did what happened with Trent?
They let him go free. They let him go because he was.
And then what happened?
They signed Elvis Grbac.
Elvis Grbac. And then, then it went.
Okay, I got it.
And then for us, 12 years. Took me 12 years to get back. Because once you stop something that great, Skip, I want you to understand this, that this team was about to be a dynasty. This defense maybe been arguably one of the greatest defenses of all time if they complete that task.
Because they're playing in this era where the rules favors the offense.
Favors the offense.
I just never thought of Trent Dilfer being your 1 yard.
That 1 yard.
He was. Okay.
Because he played to his strength. I think once we got
he played to our strength.
Right. And once you got Elvis, they're like, we're going to open it up because I think Brian and Ozzie felt we couldn't win another Super Bowl in that fashion. But the rules
and I think Brian thought he could turn Elvis into a big star.
Yeah.
Right?
We wanted to score faster.
You know?
Ain't no need of scoring faster. If the formula that we have, the formula that Seattle has, get Marshawn Lynch going, let Russell Wilson do his magic, and let probably one of the greatest defenses we've seen do what they do.
It's one of.
It's one of. And now you start to see the pieces fall. Marshawn leaves, right? The ruffles started. It's starting to unravel now.
Yep.
Right? And because that one window that they had, now when they're sitting back looking at it, Shay, they going, it ain't the same.
We could have.
We could have, but it's not the same now. So who is that one, possibly that one guy that doesn't fit? The 1, 2 guys that we got to change it around. Man, Skip, we changed so many pieces in Baltimore trying to find those pieces. And it takes a long time to get back to promise. And I'm telling you, I tell you exactly, I said this the moment it happened. I said, they will never be the same again.
Said the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It's never going to be because you lose in the matter, because I want we practiced all week, 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl. You say you're going to leave it up to us to decide the game. Somebody took it out of the players' hands. And my call, man, did you see that call on 2nd and 1? Huh? No. You saw the anguish on the defensive guys because Marshawn was the leader of that team.
Yes, sir.
I know Russell Wilson was the quarterback, but the heartbeat, the pulse of that team was beast mode. Because we saw him when he ran, Skip. That defense is up. They're cheering. They got on pom-poms. It was never going to be the same. And this is the part of it. He said he knew he wasn't going to be back because he's about to be 32. He got a $3 million roster bonus, and they're going to start taking this defense piece by piece apart.
Yeah.
And it's never going to be the same because they used to be outspoken. Yeah, they speak their mind. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. They were outspoken talking about opponents. They became outspoken in criticizing their own coaches, their own players. When you give people that kind of, you give them that kind of leeway, Skip. Hey, take my car. Well, I better give you some parameters. Be back at midnight. Drive like you got some sense. When you say, you can say whatever you want. Okay, be careful.
And there was obviously suspicion on the part of the leaders of the Seattle defense that Pete Carroll wanted Russell Wilson to be the MVP of the Super Bowl. And if the pass is completed, he would have been. Right? Okay, just for balance, I'm going to throw it out one more time. During that regular season, Beast Mode had been handed the ball from the 1-yard line 5 times and been stopped 4 times. So they might have been playing a percentage on a play that they thought was a high percentage pass play.
I got a percentage for you. Run the ball. Go
I
ahead.
got it. But you also have to give Malcolm Butler some credit because it was the greatest break on the ball under pressure I have ever seen. He saw it. He read it. He got there before the ball got there. And Ricardo Lockett, who's a big, long, tall receiver, was just stunned because he just snatched it from him. And it wasn't a bad throw. It was on target. It was just, I get what you're saying. It's a bad idea when you've got that guy as the heartbeat of your locker room and team. That's the problem.
Can I help you with
Yes,
one thing from a
yes.
defensive perspective?
Yeah.
It's not even a hard play for Malcolm Butler to make that play. When you in the red zone, you have one rule: don't back up, because everything behind you a touchdown. There's nothing to back up for. Skip, 2006, the same 1 yard. We go into the divisional round. Peyton Manning comes to town. I look at Rex Ryan, and I say, Rex, how do we beat Peyton? He said, look, come in my office every day. He said, give him 5 field goals. I said, Rex, we will give Peyton 5 field goals. And I guarantee, he promised me we win. We get on the 1 yard line and got Jamal Lewis and Steve McNair at the quarterback position. And we throw the football on the 1 yard line, and I lose to Peyton Manning, and I gave him 5 field. We gave him 5 field goals.
Period. End of story.
Period.
That was it.
And what this play was doomed.
And he went on to win the Super Bowl.
To win the Super Bowl.
Ray, this play
Man, Joe, I'm still going through it. I just want to try to bear with me for a while. You sugar kind of sure.
But here's the thing. This play was doomed.
Yeah.
Once the slot receiver, once Brandon Browner got in press position,
It was already over.
he jammed him. Now Malcolm Butler has a clear path.
Clear path.
See, if you don't make that guy bubble. He's going to come downhill.
But remember, rookies who have barely played in the game in the Super Bowl, but barely played the whole year, undrafted out of West Alabama, they don't always make that break on the ball.
But Coach
under pressure.
Coach Belichick had run that.
He had run that play.
I got it.
Several times
Yep.
leading up to that play. Brandon Browner knew, if I get my hands on him,
He
because
did.
all he's trying to do is to make the outside guy bubble. Once you don't make him bubble, here's the thing: if you run spread option, you're home free, because now you're gonna get the pick with Lockett on the outside, and now the guy gets the down flat. But once that guy gets picked, and he can just come downhill, and that's the thing, Skip. Look, I'm just saying, in that situation, you got a timeout. It's 1:26 left. Give it to him again. If he doesn't get it, you can get to the line. Because here's the thing: you're going for it because you're 4 down. So you're going for it on all 4 downs.
All 4 downs.
Give him a.
But you go to what's not your strength.
Yep.
Catching, receiving, that's not your strength.
He was not your best receiver.
He was not
either.
your best
No.
receiver.
No, I agree.
And you took one of the rules in the red zone defense. We want them to throw the ball in the middle of the field. That's what we want the ball. There's no double moves at that point.
Nope.
So if you throw the ball in that area, it benefits the defense.
Whether it's the right or the wrong call, the point of this is the whole locker room believed with all its heart and soul it was wrong, wrong,
absolutely.
and it couldn't get over it because Pete Carroll, the ultimate players coach, had given players a lot of leeway to have big voice in the locker room, and all of a sudden they were using their voices in mutinous fashion against the head coach, and everything started to unravel. And I'm going to quote the not so great Jerry Glanville, if he's out there or whatever. But he was a good coach, but not a great one. But he was a quote machine, and he said NFL stands for not for long. And do you know how blessed you were in Baltimore to get through the drought period, the low period, and come full circle back with Joe Flacco, obviously, after you started over, and to win a Super Bowl and get to go out on that. You got back, man. And it worked. And you got to retire right on schedule, and your body was starting to break down a little bit on you because you'd missed a bunch of games during the regular season.
Tore my tricep.
Yeah. The game, I played 14 years. I won 3 Super Bowls in a 4-year span. The one game I've never gotten over is the 96 divisional loss to Jacksonville.
Mark Brunell.
Because we got TD who had rushed for 1,550 yards.
I watched that game, Coach.
And now all of a sudden, we're going to give the ball to TD 14 times?
Right.
When we was giving it to him an average of 20, 22 times a game?
Yep.
We got away from what we did.
Yep.
But Mike was smart enough to say, I tell you what, get me back in that situation.
It won't happen.
And then he went 7 straight games with 100-plus yards.
There you go.
I believe TD is the greatest playoff running back in history.
Okay. You can make that case statistically.
Skip, you can't, man. Listen, Skip, I'd have lost my mind. I'd have fought Pete Carroll.
Well, there you go. I think they wanted to.
And that's why the team, getting back to what that's why this once dynasty is now starting to.
I think they're
because it was no longer a team.
They're in all-out rebuild mode.
From that point on, they were no longer a team. No longer. It was offense and defense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, because that trust was in the biggest moment. So how do you, unless you get an opportunity to go back there and fix it, how can you ever
You'll never fix it.
And sometimes dissension leads to unhappiness, leads to injury.
Yeah.
No one's happy, and all of a sudden everybody starts getting hurt, and everybody's on the trade block, and they have fallen to the bottom of the division. Right on paper right now, the team I'm looking at.
All these guys were hurt going into the game. And this is Earl Thomas torn labrum. Sherm has a torn elbow ligament. Cam has a knee ligament.
Yep.
And it's like, ooh, we right here. We about to win the game with all these injuries. Off-season surgery is so good when you win.
Man, when you win. You just
Richard Sherman's face when
it said it all.
Completely captured how everyone was feeling.
They're not getting over that. I said it at the time. I said you never get that. They could have won another one, Joe. But I'm on the 1 yard line because then you start thinking we could have been a three-peat. Yeah, we could have had it.
Well, I think if they had gone back and won, it would have at least put a Band-Aid on that situation. But
Beast Mode wasn't getting over it.
Yeah.
Beast Mode.
Obviously, none of them have.
No.
Yeah. Right. Thanks for joining us. J.R. Smith got suspended for throwing a bowl of soup. We'll discuss that with Kenyon Martin next.